Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. And I want to welcome you to another Friday SEO tip. My name is Greg, and I'm a senior project manager here at Boulder SEO Marketing. So if you're struggling to generate leads and sales from your organic search efforts, this tip today is for you. I want to share with you some great information you can implement immediately to get more leads and sales from your organic search optimization efforts. So for this week's tip, I basically want to walk you through one of the biggest set of Google Business Profile page changes we've seen in years. In fact, there were actually 2 updates in 2 days, and most of the SEO GEO world is talking about one of them. However, almost nobody is talking about the second one, and that's actually the one that's going to affect how you and your entire team start operating today. So for those of you that watched my last tip, which was a few weeks back, I asked you to do one simple thing, and that was like open Google Maps, search for your business, and click the directions button. That was a very important kind of ranking signal for Google Business Profile. So if you remember that, that's great. Well, today I wanted you to log back into your Google Business Profile dashboard because something has changed in there in the past week that you need to see before really anybody tries to mess with your listing. This is important. So today I'm going to show you exactly where to find it and what this particular update is all about. So here's the one big idea I want you to walk away with today. Your Google Business Profile page has just now become your most important asset in AI search, and Google is locking it down to prove it. So that's basically the lens I want you to use as we walk through what has changed in this past week, because when you see all 3 pieces together, the strategy behind it actually becomes really, really clear. So here's what Google has shipped in the past week. I want to walk you through exactly what's happened. So April 16th, Google announced 3 brand new protections for businesses on Google Maps. So here's protection number 1. Google is now blocking fake review scams before they even go live. So if you've ever been hit with, say, an unexpected wave of 1-star reviews, followed by a message asking for payment to remove them, that's what's called Google review extortion. And it's a real thing. So Google now claims that they're catching those patterns before the fake reviews even publish. So that's great news. So for protection number 2, Google is using Google Gemini AI to catch fake edits to your business information before it actually goes live. So this means that if someone tries to change your business name, add something like political commentary, or vandalize your listing, Gemini actually flags it. So that's rolling out right now on Android, iOS, and desktop globally. And most importantly, there's protection number 3. And this one we highly recommend that you act on today. So verified Google Business Profile owners will now get proactive email alerts when somebody suggests, say, an important edit to your listing. This is huge because up until this point, you had to manually log in to check for suggested edits. And quite frankly, a lot of us were simply not doing that. So here's a little eye-opening stat explaining why Google is doing all of this. Did you realize that in 2025 alone, Google blocked 292 million policy violating reviews? They also blocked about 79 million inaccurate edits, and they removed about 13 million fake business profiles. So just think about that for a little bit. 1 in every 5 review attempts was flagged as violating policy. So that means that Google Maps is not just a passive directory, it's a massive ongoing enforcement operation running in the background every single day. Now, here's the piece that almost nobody is talking about. One day after that announcement on the 16th, on the 17th, Google quietly updated its Google Maps user-generated content policy, and 2 brand new rules were added under the rating manipulation section. So rule number 1 states that you cannot explicitly direct your staff to bring in a specific number of reviews per month. So For example, if you have an internal program, say where your employees are expected to get 5 reviews in a week, that's very much now against Google's policies. For rule number 2, you also cannot direct your staff to ask customers to mention them specifically by name. So if a review script that you're using states something like, hey, if you've had a good experience, please mention Sarah was your stylist. That's now also against Google's policies. Let me address probably the biggest question you're probably already thinking about. Is Google actually going to catch all of this? Well, probably not. For example, a manager who just verbally coaches a staff member without a written script leaves almost no breadcrumbs for Google to find that. But that's not really the point. The takeaway is this. If you're running a review program for your business, or if you're an agency like ours here at Boulder SEO Marketing, we actually oversee review programs for our clients, and you should absolutely audit your workflow this week. So any written script that you use, any quota system, any training materials that direct staff members to ask customers to mention them by name, all of that now falls outside of what Google permits. And if Google does catch it, this is the big one, the consequences can be real. Google will remove reviews, suspensions may be in order, and Google Business Profile page rankings will drop. Not a good thing. So, why is Google doing all of this at the same time? If you zoom out, let's say 5 weeks earlier, Google launched something called Ask Maps, and this was huge. So Ask Maps is now a Gemini-powered conversational feature which lives inside of Google Maps. Now, instead of just typing keywords, users can ask questions like, is there a quiet coffee shop with outdoor seating near me? Or something like, where is there a public tennis course with lights that I can play on tonight? So the bottom line is that Ask Maps now pulls from, around 300 million places and reviews from 500 million contributors. Just think about that. And most importantly, Ask Map uses the content of your reviews, your Google Business Profile attributes, your questions and answers, and your business descriptions to decide what to recommend. So that's big. So if we now connect all of these dots that I've highlighted, so to recap, 5 weeks ago, Google launched an AI discovery engine that depends on the accuracy of your business profile data. 5 weeks later, Google locked down the data layer with protections such as scam detection, AI edited filtering, and owner email alerts. Then the third one, a new policy enforcement for review manipulation was implemented. So bottom line, these are not 3 separate updates. They're all part of the same strategy. So what Google now is doing is essentially building a conversational layer on top of Maps, and they don't want the underlying data to become corrupted. Here's what all of this means for you. Items such as your review content, your attributes, the questions and answers that live on the page, and the descriptions on your Google Business Profile page are now basically the raw material that Gemini uses to uncover and answer the conversational questions that visitors pose and ask Maps about your business. So a review that says, for example, quiet back patio, great for laptop work, reliable Wi-Fi, that directly influences whether your business gets surfaced when somebody converses with Ask Maps. If they, for example, pose a question like, where can I work for a couple of hours? This is now like an AI search for local businesses with many of the same original principles, just using a different surface. Okay, so what is our recommendation to do with all of this new information now? There are 4 easy steps, and they're pretty much the same as always when it comes to these new updates. For step number 1, as soon as you're able, log into your Google Business Profile dashboard. This, as you know, that's the management backend, and be sure to check your notification settings. Make sure the email that's tied to your profile is the same one that someone actually opens every single morning. Just make sure that it's not like a catch-all inbox, and it's not a shared inbox that nobody really keeps an eye on. Because when Google emails you about a suggested edit to your business information, you really have a limited window in which to approve it or reject it. And that means that one bad edit approved by accident can tank your rankings for weeks. So for step number 2, we advise that you audit your review solicitation workflow. So that means pull up whatever your team uses to ask for reviews. If it has a targeted number per month, rewrite it. If it mentions specific employee names, rewrite that. Move your language to something like, "We would appreciate any feedback about your experience," and let your customers say what they want to say naturally. So Google's official guidance on review requests is in the Business Profile Help Center. I'll drop the link in the description in this video. And if you're an agency like us, this means auditing every client's review program this quarter. For step number 3, you should help coach your customers to be more specific in their reviews. The old advice was simply just get more reviews. The new advice today is to get more specific reviews. That's very, very important. So when somebody loves what you do, invite them to share the specific details, such as the service they receive, the atmosphere, the product, their experience, etc., etc. Because these sort of narrative details are now what Gemini reads when it's deciding what to recommend in Ask Maps. So a review that says 5 stars, great service is kind of meaningless now, and it's worth way less now than a review that says they fixed my HVAC on a Sunday and they cleaned up after themselves. So the bottom line is that more details, the better. So for the last step, number 4, we advise that you always, always, always keep your website, your Google business profile page, and your schema markup consistent. Google's Gemini system is now basically cross-referencing your profile data against your website. That means if your Google business profile page says that you open at 7 a.m., but your website says 8 a.m., that sort of inconsistency results in a very negative signal. So every business should do a quarterly name, address, phone number audit. Also, things like a monthly spot check on your Google business profile page. It only takes about 10 minutes of work, but it prevents many, many hours of cleanup later. So to wrap up, I want to give you one more reason why all this matters right now. And it's specific to where search is heading in 2026. AI overviews at the top of the Google search results are now appearing in a growing percentage of Google searches, including local searches. Ask Maps is doing the same thing within Google Maps itself. So the businesses that are winning in this shift have a few things in common. They have strong and accurate Google business profile pages, and they combine this with sustained behavioral engagement, consistent name, address, and phone numbers. The directory listings are all accurate, and things like schema markup that reinforces everything else. So of course, an active content presence is equally as important. All of these are completely within your control. They basically cost nothing, and most of your competitors are ignoring them. So what I want you to do as one big favor to me after you watch this is open your Google Business Profile dashboard and check your notification settings. It takes about only 5 minutes to audit your review process against these new policies. So if you'd like to go deeper on local SEO, schema markup, or AI search visibility, the team here at Boulder SEO Marketing can help. And I'd also like to invite you to subscribe to the Boulder SEO Marketing Friday SEO Tip newsletter. I've also added that link in the description below. I want to thank you for listening. Again, my name is Greg, and I'm a senior project manager here at Boulder SEO Marketing. Thanks for watching, and I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. Take care.